up to like diamond.
Okay.
And like it's fun. I'll learn Sojourn
Of
like a week
course.
or two and go back to Tracer Sojourn and get the GM.
Uh-huh.
And it's been 1.5 months and nothing has changed. I'm the same rank. So
Disaster.
it's not
Disaster.
great. Yeah.
Okay. Unfortunate to hear that. All right. Well, let me get your form pulled up here. We've got Overwatch pulled up as well. Okay. Okay, so you transition off of Echo. So break me down that thought process. What kind of sparked you on that road to make that adjustment? That happens a lot, by the
Nothing.
way. I did that when I was ranking up at least twice, if not three times, on the way to Grandmasters. But what was your motivation?
Nothing deep really. I just felt like I wasn't having as much fun on that hero, and I was having a lot of fun in Quick Play and Sojourn back
Okay,
then, so I
okay.
just played her.
So just a question of what was fun for you. Okay, okay, makes
Yeah.
sense. And then you said just Sojourn, but you also mentioned Tracer. Is that like a future thing or something that you've already
Well,
transitioned to, or?
considering that I've reached Masters with Tracer and my Sojourn is currently at apparently Diamond 4, I feel like if I play Tracer now, I just win every Tracer game and
Ah,
lose every Sojourn
I
game.
see, I see,
So
I
that would
see.
be unfair.
Quick question though: have you felt? Do you still play some Tracer to keep it up to speed? I guess.
Not really. Maybe
Okay.
in Quick Play.
Okay, I
That's
might do
fun.
that. I think that your logic with the percentage is important. So like I would do like 70-30, you know what I'm saying?
Okay.
But the concern is that if you don't touch it in competitive for a long time, then all of a sudden be like, all right, time to play Tracer. Wait.
Yeah, I
Right?
see.
And then it's not so good. But I respect that. I mean, I did the same thing when I was playing a lot of Ana Zen way back in the day. My Zenyatta was like top tier, at least 300 SR higher, 400 SR better than my Ana. So I've like forced myself to do like 60-40 Ana until I could get it up to speed, and then I was like, I earned the right to 50-50, right? And it seems like you're kind of in the same situation. So talk me through Sojourn. So we can go through your form in a sec. Well, it won't take as long, especially the second time through, but talk me through Sojourn. What do you think are the roadblocks you've been hitting with Sojourn? Do you have any guesses?
Honestly, I don't even know. There's one thing that I can definitely say I'm bad at, and it's charge control. I would often like rail when I don't have full charge and I'm in close. But that's it. I've worked in my orb usage. I've watched your VOD reviews.
Yeah.
I know what orb usage is good.
Okay.
I think I know what positions are good. I worked on that too.
Okay.
And
Okay.
I've worked on like slowing down before hitting my rail so that
Okay.
I have a higher chance. But
Okay.
I'm still the same rank.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I don't even know.
Okay, okay, okay. See, I'm seeing in your form that you've worked on a ton of stuff and you're still just like fumbling around at diamond. You feel like
Yeah,
you
I mean, it's been two
understand.
months.
Okay. Have you done much self VOD review?
Well, yes. I think I've done like maybe 3 or 4 times before I
Okay.
work on each thing, and
Okay.
I saw improvement, or I think I saw improvement.
Okay. I guess my question for you is if you have, it sounds like you have a wealth of understanding, but you're having a hard time like actually applying it. And so we'll
Well,
obviously
maybe I
do,
don't have a good understanding because like if I don't know what positions are good, then I
that's true.
cannot find
That's
me
true.
taking bad
That's true.
positions.
That's true. Well, how's your mentality been as of the last month? Obviously, I'm sure not spectacular
Not
considering the
great.
result.
I've
Not
been
great.
taking breaks, playing something else because of this.
Okay, okay, okay.
But
Something.
still,
Go ahead.
I've been able to play more this season than any past season, though.
Okay, that's good. At least that's good. Um, it's hard. It's like which came first, the chicken or the egg? Is the mentality making the sojourn worse? Unquestionably. But is the frustrating experience the sojourn making your mentality worse? Unquestionably, right? So I think maybe working at a little bit of both. Like obviously making sure that you have some goals from this session to work on with sojourn, but then also making sure that you're trying to as much as you possibly can play with some consistency and even and trying to make sure that you're in the right attitude for learning as best as you can. Obviously, I know understand that it's a very frustrating experience, but you have to understand that something like this happens to everybody, and it might happen again, right, in the future. Let's say we can get you to masters, maybe it'll be a different type. So you need to make sure that you're working on how you're responding to this kind of stuff, because I mean, yeah, again, I can relate here. When I climbed to Grandmaster, it was anything but linear. There were months where I was stuck in high plat for probably 2 months, 2 or 2.5 months. Then I hit to Masters, and then I got bored of tank because I got stuck, and I wanted to play on a Zen, and then I dropped 500 SR for about a month. So everybody is going to be up and down and static and stuck. I think that's just part of the nature of growth. So how you're able to kind of like push through this, not just through like figuring out what I'm lacking with Sojourn, but also like what you're lacking mentally is going to be really, really important. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Do you have any like advice for that? Or are we going to
Well,
talk about it later?
we can talk about it a little bit now. So you've said you've been taking some breaks, okay?
Yeah.
Is that from the frustration of the lack of progress?
Well, yes, it is. It's kind of like upsetting to pour so much time, pretty much all my free time right now into Overwatch, and nothing happens of it.
Sure. What? How
So I
much
just play
time
some
was that?
single player.
Sure. How much time was that? Like on an average day? Like how much time were you putting into Sojourn before you got
Well, if I'm
frustrated?
actually like playing, like fully playing,
Of
I
course.
think it's closer to like maybe 4 hours, including
Okay.
warm up.
Okay.
Maybe like 10 games a day
Okay.
in
Okay.
warm up.
Okay. That's fine. You could even go a little bit less than that, to be honest with you. How long is your warm up?
About 30 minutes.
Okay. You probably can go less than that as well. Obviously, it depends on the day and how much sleep that you're getting and how you feel and how energetic you feel. But like, you don't need that much time to improve if you're actually putting in the level of effort that we need from you. Okay, let's. And then when you do take breaks, how long are you taking breaks? How many days?
Maybe like a couple of days.
Okay.
Maybe like, I don't know, half a day. Basically, my situation is that I'm able to play one session before work and one after.
Okay.
And sometimes I just don't feel like playing either of these.
And when you say session, is this the 5-win clump?
Yeah, about so. I guess it's like a 15 to 30 minute warm up and then about 45 games.
Okay, okay, makes sense. You could probably even cut that down further because it might be that when you're unmotivated, it's important that you still show up and give your best shot, at least for just a couple of games. For example, if you wake up and you're really, really sore and you don't feel like working out, you should still move. You might not be able to lift as much or as heavy or go as hard and run as fast, but you still should give it a good go, right? Even if it's shorter, even if it's less in intensity, simply going through doing your routine, even an abbreviated version of it, is an important thing, I believe. And I think that's something that you can kind of factor into even your training with Overwatch. If you have these days where you're not feeling motivated or you're frustrated, do a couple games. Do your warm up, do 1 or 2 games with as much intensity as you can muster, with as much focus as you can muster, then call it. So do that instead of forcing yourself to not play at all or forcing yourself to grind 4 or 5 or 6 games per session. Give that a shot and see how that goes. That would be my recommendation. It's better to be consistent, and that consistency will also help you to improve. I would avoid the worst case scenario of playing too much or playing too little. Find somewhere in between, even if it's just a teeny bit. It's better to do that than not play at all.
You're saying like if I see myself getting tilted, I shouldn't force myself to
Yes.
play more?
Yes. Take a break. Take a break then. And by a break, I mean just stop until your next session.
Okay.
Or take a break and come back and play one more game. See how you play. If you still feel tilted and distracted and not focused, then call it. Give yourself a chance to push through it, but don't slam your head into the wall over and over and over again until you don't even want to play anymore, right? You should be pushing your limits in terms of days where you don't want to play. You need to play a game or two. But don't make it a miserable experience by slamming over and over and over and over again. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, be consistent. Like, you really don't need that much volume if you're very focused and intent with what you're doing. Okay. And that might also be like keeping an eye on how long your warm-up needs to be, especially if you've already warmed up for the day and then you go to work and you come back. You don't need to warm up for 15, 20 minutes again. You might need 5 before you just jump into the game. You should be fine.
Well, it's not really a warm-up as much as it is like aim training, because I feel like if I want to eventually get to GM, I need way better mechanics.
Okay.
So
What kind
I
of aim
do
training?
Kovacs playlist.
Okay.
Well, it's like, yeah, half an hour long Kovacs playlist.
You are at a point now, and I'm going to be frank with you because of your situation, to where that is a waste of time. Where your mechanical limitations, especially with a unique hero like Sojourn, who involves a lot of movement, you need to be practicing in game. And that might mean deathmatch, that might mean Vaxta, that might mean just doing whatever custom game that you want to do for 5 to 10 minutes, but your diminishing returns from Kovacs are at a very, very high rate as it is right now. If you are new to PC, or brand new to first-person shooters, or bronze, silver, gold, and just kind of getting used to the keyboard and mouse, different story. But I've worked with several aim coaches, and they all say the same thing. Kovacs, especially for Overwatch, once you're experienced with the keyboard and mouse, and you are experienced, has massive, massive diminishing returns.
Well, I don't know. I used to play Triart when we had our first session.
Yeah.
And then for some reason, I just noticed my aim was like rapidly declining. My overall mechanics, I don't know if they were improving or not. There's no way to track. But my aim was just getting so bad I would miss shots on somebody who stands still. So I got back to Kovacs and it got better a bit.
Okay.
It got more consistent.
Yeah.
Also, in Triart, at least, for Sojourn, I think it's forcing bad habits of impatience with rail.
It might be. So then what you might need to do then is you would go into even if it's just like a quick play game or something like that. But I think here's the thing with warm up is it depends on like the main thing is just to kind of get you mentally alert and ready. And if you feel like Kovacs helps you to get mentally alert and ready, then I'm okay with it. But it's not going to make your aim significantly better at your point in time. It's not going to. Sojourn is definitely an awkward hero where she doesn't function exactly the same in deathmatch as she does in ranked. But that doesn't mean that you need to spend more time in Kovacs. That means that you need to be spending more time in ranked. So for you, warm-up might be a very short thing. I want to spend as little time aim training as I possibly can, whether that's in tryhard or Kovacs if I'm playing Sojourn. I just need to get in ranked as soon as I feel alert and ready. The thing with Kovacs is it's like psychologically feels like you're progressing because of the scoreboard and because you get into like a routine and a playlist, but it's the diminishing returns are going to be tough. So just keep that in mind. Give me your code. Let's look at your code. Okay. So be consistent with your play. Don't shoot too high. Be patient. And let's see what we can look at here. And I've been doing a lot of live coaching with my repeat sessions. Would that be something that you are potentially interested in?
Probably not if possible.
Okay.
It would just drop my frames, I feel like.
Yes.
And my performance.
I didn't think about that. Okay, let's start the stream here. So gonna fix up my UI and everything. Alrighty, so let's take a look. I assume that a lot of the things that I would talk to you about would be things that you're already familiar with. So let's just see what we see. And if you have any questions, you let me know. So, one thing to consider here is with Sojourn, whenever you can, you need to be paying close attention to setting up an off angle whenever you can, just so that you can farm rail faster. So you can kind of see where the enemy's positioning right now. They're playing in a way to hide from this angle here. So if you get the opportunity to safely peek this angle here, this is going to be where your pressure output or building rail is going to be faster. Now I understand that this one might be a little bit split, so I don't think you're necessarily making a mistake right now, but just something to keep in mind. It's easier to
honestly,
yes?
I might be wrong here, but I usually see tanks going left from spawn, so I thought right would be an off angle. Sure. I was wrong because my DO went right.
Sure. But your focus is not to off angle on the enemy team. Your job is to off angle off of your team. Because what will happen is the enemy team will respond to your team and you will create a dynamic off angle. In other words, don't memorize what rollout to do. React to what your team is doing. Your team is leaning right, so you should lean left. Because the enemy team will then focus on the right, and then you will be able to get kills on the left. Do you see that?
Okay. Here's another problem I've been having sometimes, where Sojourn is not independent.
No.
But also, unlike other hit scan, it takes her a lot of time to build.
It does.
Pressure.
It does.
So if I take an off angle without rail, chances are I'll get forced out before I have it.
Correct. So you would have to respect the pressure that you have. So in other words, what you would do here is you would go, I can't put out a lot of pressure, so I have to be hyper disciplined. So you start here. They start to put pressure on your diva. Now is your time to take an angle on left. Because yes, the Cassidy will and can shoot at you, but it will be difficult for them to completely negate the pressure that you'll get from this angle before you get a rail. You see, they're already engaged on your diva. So the idea with Sojourn is that don't take an isolated angle early, take an isolated angle a little bit later once they're already distracted. Does that make sense? Because you're right, you're going to get poked out a little bit here. But that's why you make sure that their attention is pulled elsewhere first. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yes.
Now, obviously, this is a really suboptimal situation, but it's still worth considering. Pop my E here as soon as they walk out of the choke. And there needs to be urgency with keeping that rail, obviously. Damage orb. So, two things here. The slide is high risk, high reward, but I'm fine with it. Good try in the rail. What should you do immediately right now? You see this all the time in the Overwatch League. What combo? What should you be using right now?
E.
Right, immediately. Really. It's a good habit to get into. A little bit slow in it. That rail is too early, obviously, charge-wise. And obviously the reason why that's bad is because it delays your next rail, but also that delay before you can shoot again reduces your DPS. So keep that in mind. Okay. I like this position. A little bit slow in the draw. Good. Okay. Sure. The advantages of Sojourn over other hit scan is obviously the rail is a really powerful burst tool. But the advantage over Sojourn is that theoretically you should be able to hold more aggressive positions, more aggressive off angles than any other hit scan in the game. Because you have the most reliable defensive cooldown between Hanzo, Ashe, Widowmaker, and so on. Use that E in that choke. So let's talk about this. So right here, rail at 73 is the first problem, correct? Especially for a Reaper who you need to be whittling him down first to be able to get him to one-shot range. The other issue here is that, again, there are opportunities here to use E, either on this choke here or right in this door frame here. I think one of the things that a lot of Sojourns initially early on didn't do well is use their E, especially when it had a slow factor. The slow factor is now gone. And unfortunately, I think for you, you're now dealing with the opposite problem where you have these windows to put good pressure out to get a good 1v1 value, like to get ahead in a 1v1, and you're not using it soon enough. Something to keep in mind. Drop the E, very good. Even though you're like, oh, it doesn't get value, it forces her to move in the open. Do you see that?
Yeah.
Shift away. Good. Good. That E is fine, right? Rail is rushed though. So look at this rail. You see how you just kind of blow it? Take a quarter of a second. Take a quarter of a second. Do you have any questions so far, by the way? I've been kind of monologuing here.
No, so far no.
Okay, let's keep going.
This is tilting.
Unfortunate. Let's keep going. Okay, disengage. Again with a rush, right? There just seems like a little bit of a nervous twitch. This is a very common problem. But you're gonna notice that even in the Overwatch League with these guys that are on like ridiculous mechanical level, you rarely will see a rail being rushed like this, right? You will see them even take the extra little bit of time to make sure that they aim it properly and really execute. Your value spike with rail is so high, and obviously building it's a lot slower than it used to be. You really need to be disciplined with actually using this ability. Just give yourself an extra quarter of a second to aim it and let it go. And if you miss it, sure. But give yourself a chance. It's in fine E. It's okay. Unfortunate. So, let me present to you with a theoretical scenario. If you were to take the left flank, which you would try to do earlier, when would you start to use the left flank? If you were to. When?
Maybe, well, actually, I lost my diva here. I don't know where she was that fight, but probably when my diva started engaging, I should have been there.
Like honestly, if you were to go now, this would be the perfect time. You see, when you take this angle here, the reason why it doesn't work is because your Symmetra's dead, your Diva's dead, so then they have nothing better to do but chase you around, right? Now, I'm not saying that it was a mistake. You were getting good value from here, you know, but I would say if you were to take an angle, you need to go right now. Otherwise, it's too late. I don't think you have the time to, but just like a good thinking exercise. Okay. Your Symmetra's on the flank. Here we go, right? Here it comes. Very good. You really aim it. Good. Brilliant.
Yeah, that's not it, though.
Ah, nicely done. Okay. What was the difference between every single one of these rails and all of the rails that you did previous up to this point?
I took my time to aim them.
And I don't think I can think of a single rail up until this engage where you actually took your time to aim them. And yet, as soon as you pressed Q, every single one of the rails were precisely aimed, even the ones where you didn't quite hit what you wanted, but you actually took the time. Replicate that with your actual rail, okay? Very important. Yeah. Very, very, very important. And not only do I want to praise that, I also think your timing here was brilliant. Not only did you take an angle, you took an angle late. When there was nobody thinking about the Sojourn on the flank, they had no time to poke you out, they had no time to punish your lack of self-sustain, you just destroyed them. Great.
Yeah, I see. Well, I have a question now.
Please.
So, the two big things that you said were aiming the rail and E usage. And the thing is, I worked on those things, so it's either, I don't know, somehow I'm working ineffectively, or I just have trouble retaining the skills that I learned once I stopped working on them, and I don't know what to do about it.
And that's the real catch, isn't it? Because that's what separates good players from mediocre or even bad players. It's not usually the knowledge, it's the ability to apply and dedicate themselves in practice and be able to keep that focus. So I can help you some of that, but you're also going to be needing to do a little bit of self-analysis. So you say that the aiming the railgun particularly, that is something that you have practiced on in the past, yes?
Yes.
Okay.
Literally, like...
How do you practice it? What's your strategy for that?
Well, I get my rail, and I'm like, stop shooting, and I just aim.
Okay. And how do you remind yourself to practice that? How have you done that in the past?
I just remind myself every once in a while.
Okay.
There's no specific, like, scenario.
Okay. That might be something that you might benefit from, is whether it's a phone reminder, sticky note, getting up between each and every game to re-remind yourself. But as it is now, you are night and day when you aim your rail and when you don't aim your rail. So when you practice that, how long did you practice that? Was that a couple days? Was it a week?
Or 2 weeks, but I took breaks. So it was like maybe 8 days of playtime.
Okay, okay. And then you took breaks. Was this from the frustration or just because you had other stuff going on or you just didn't feel like playing?
Mostly didn't feel like playing.
Okay. So maybe here's the thing. I don't want to necessarily overthink the problem and try to like solve this complicated issue. Here's my suggestion to start with. You might have some really like a mental block, right? You might just have this big complicated mental block and it's going to take you a while to figure it out. Or maybe you just need to play more consistently, thinking about things like this. And that's it. Let's not assume that the issue is complicated when there's a potential easier solution available first. So let's rule out that problem first, rule out that potential issue first, and then if it's still an issue, it's still a problem, then we'll move on from there. What you need to aim to do is you need to be more consistent, more patient with your play time, and also not forcing yourself to grind all day long. Make sure that you're able to stay focused on the things that you're practicing at. And if you're able to honestly tell yourself that you've been able to do that and do that well, then we reevaluate. It's equivalent of like, you know, I tried exercise, but I couldn't lose weight, but you jogged 3 or 4 days a week, or you ate poorly 2 or 3 days a week and you only ate well a couple days a week. It's still an improvement, but you're at a point in time now where you're not a bronze player anymore. You're a high diamond player. So the expectations and the level of effort and focus is going to be a little bit more demanding. You're in the top 10%, if not more. So it's going to take a little bit more from you than currently what you're giving. Now, it might not be quantity, how much you're playing. It might just be the quality of the play that you do put in. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. I was live coaching a wrecking ball last night, and we only did 3 games. And yet by the end of those 3 games, there felt like there was a little bit of fatigue kicking in because the level of focus that I was demanding, the level of energy and thought between fights and the reminding and focus, okay, what are you going to do here? It wasn't anything complicated. It was just basic stuff, but it was kind of exhausting after just 3 games. That's what it takes, right? That's what it takes for, especially when you're at the higher level. And you need to kind of be evaluating yourself and be like, am I staying in that engaged, you know? You need to be having fun to stay that engaged. So that's another reason why a lot of people will struggle here. But let's keep going. So this is something that you've worked at before. This isn't new information for you. At least nothing that we've seen so far. But the question is then how are you executing that? And unfortunately, I can offer a little bit of advice, but I can't help you that much. There's unfortunately just limitations with what I can do. So this is where you're going to have to coach yourself. You're going to have to do some self-diagnosis. You're going to have to look at the way you're training, your mentality, and do your best to solve the problem from there. And I'm sorry I can't do more than that, but there's just strict limitations of what I'm able to do.
It's fine.
Okay. So let's keep going. Do you have any questions so far besides that?
No, I don't think so.
Fat E. Yeah, it's good. It's good damage. Very good. Maybe felt a little bit rushed. Good try, but I mean it was aimed, but she was just behind the corner. It's okay. Nice shot. Nice shot. That was a really nice shot. Really felt like you were focused on the aiming there. Same thing there. A little sloppy with the mouse 1 movement, but the actual rail itself was beautiful.
Oh, by the way, I remembered something.
Please.
I was asking you this on Ask Spilo. So I was having trouble evaluating when to SMG the tank for faster charge with my rail.
Ah, yes, I remember that question. Yes.
I said it was a spectrum, which didn't tell much to me. No offense.
No problem.
So maybe we could look into that this game.
Let's put it this way: it hasn't been an issue so far. Either either it's been just the tank that's visible or the squishy that's been available. That's pretty much it. You always prioritize squishies whenever they're easy to shoot, but they're not always easy to shoot. Thus the spectrum comment, right? It's the same question about like, I'm trying to think of a good analogy here. What's another hero to use? I mean, it's really the same thing for anything. When do you shoot as Ashe a tank versus a DPS or a support? If the tank is playing hyper aggressive, you shoot the tank. But if there's a squishy to shoot that's also not a trillion miles away, you shoot the squishy. So the answer is usually the squishy, even with the projectile nature. But for example, right now, I mean, what else are you going to shoot? The only thing I would say here is, right, take the angle if you can. Now here's where your question gets interesting. Who do you shoot?
Probably at this distance, Orisa.
Okay, why?
Well, I don't think I can hit the Mercy with the amount of spread that I have.
Maybe.
So far.
Maybe, but the Orisa's fortified.
I mean, I can farm the charge, and then rail the Mercy.
You could. So you see, even here, there's nuance. I wouldn't be mad if he shot the Orisa for charge, then went for the Mercy. I wouldn't be mad if he tried to shoot the Mercy at this range. I think even with the spread, Mercy at this range wouldn't be a bad choice. I would say this one's about 50-50. Not well aimed, right? I don't even know who you're shooting for there. It honestly looked like Orisa. That was good, right? Felt like you really aimed that one. Didn't hit, yeah, but it felt like you aimed it. That's the type of habit that you need to build. Okay. Now, this is another one of those questions, right? You see Soldier, you see Orisa, who do you shoot?
Well, Soldier's too far, I think.
Yeah, I think so too. And I think he's also getting pocketed, and the Orisa, even though she's fortified, is frontlining. Shoot the Orisa. Unfortunate. Little rush of the rails still. We still have to make sure that the charge, like, this is something you brought up at the start of the VOD review, and we're definitely seeing it occasionally. Lots of low charge rails. This is fine. Just confirm the fight one. Alright, let's see it. Yes. Yes. Take an angle. Good. And that's where you would shoot the Ashe over the Orisa, just based off the fact that the Ashe was scoped in and not looking at you. Easy shots, right? Look at how low she is. Very nice. Good. Keep swinging. You can drop your E here in if you want to. Nice. Denying the res. Good try. Doesn't work. Unfortunate. You're good. Oh no, oh no. Oh no. Okay, we're good. Okay. Reset. Now I'm going to be honest with you. Especially with a damage boosted Ashe, this is where Sojourn is very hard. So let's think about compositional matchups here. What is your advantage over the Ashe?
I'm better. I shoot at better close range, but
what's the
I
problem
often
with this map?
find myself struggling. There's no good way to get close.
Right, so you're going to have to be super disciplined here. So what you can do is do what we were doing earlier, try to build rail off of a tank, and then use another one of your advantages, which is the essential one-shot. basically one shot on the Ash when she scoped it. So I think looking at it that way, you try to take short angles, not necessarily where you can shoot the Ash, but where you can at least shoot tank and avoid the Ash, and then look for rail and Ash when you get the opportunity to. So like what you're doing right now, that's fine, right? As long as we're not peeking that Ash without rail. So you could even go right here if you wanted to. Your team is staggering hardcore.
Yeah, that's true.
Don't peek this. Oh my days.
This is tilting.
This is a mess of a game. But this is the thing. This happens. You can't change this. Your team's staggering. But you're still one team fight away from winning this game. Your team is still staggering. Now you're staggering. It happens, right? You can't let that one terrible trade like affect you for the last round, right? Not just because, oh, now maybe you lose the game. We don't care about losing the game. We want to make sure that the next 3 minutes of practice are actually good. So do you remember this game?
Kind of.
Okay. When did you play this?
I think 2 days ago or so.
Okay. What was your mentality like at the start of this third round? Do you remember?
Not great.
Okay. And that's the problem, right? So we ask, oh, well, I keep reminding myself of, my railgun, but, I'm not getting better. Well, then we've come to at least one of the root issues of why you're not. This is why tilt is so bad. It's not because you throw games. It's because you throw practice, which is worse. Now, easier said than done. Well, how do I not tilt? There's a million videos out there, but I'll give you my advice for not tilting. Remind yourself, why are you here? Why are you here? Why are you here in this particular round right here? What's the purpose?
To work in my rail usage?
Okay. Do you need to win this game to work on your rail usage?
No.
No, you don't. You don't. And I understand that there's being dead in the spawn room because your team is losing fights is not fun. And you can't pretend that winning isn't fun and that losing isn't frustrating. It's always going to be, at least to an extent, that. But manage your expectations. It is what it is. Go next round. A loss doesn't matter. You're going to have to get used to it at some point because there's going to be an overwhelming majority of games that are going to be either won or lost without even your contribution. Just focus on what you need to be practicing. Enjoy the process for what it is. And then if you find yourself getting frustrated frequently, then you need to be taking a look not just at how you deal with getting tilted, but what's happening before you get tilted. Were you playing too many games in a row? Were you going into it with the right mindset? Were you taking breaks between queues, or were you just AFKing and sitting in queues or aim training between queues? Take some preventative action. Get up while you're in queue, even if it's just for a minute or two. Remind yourself of why you're here, of what you're practicing for. Touch some grass, look at the sun, grab some water, make your bed, Take preventative action. Like when people ask, like, how do I not tilt? It's like saying, how do I get in shape? There's so many things. It needs to not be a one-all answer. It needs to be a lifelong goal for you to, how do I deal with frustration or disappointment? This isn't about Overwatch at this point,
Yeah.
It's about how you approach disappointment and frustration and just failure, right, as a whole. It's part of the process. So there isn't any one thing that's going to fix it because it's an incredibly complex problem that requires a lot of different habits, mental maturity, and things like that for you to be able to figure it out. So that means there's not a simple solution, but that also means that any effort put into it and to improving your habits and the way that you approach things is worth your time. It's not a waste of time. It's a very important skill to learn. Video games are not. So even if you don't quote unquote fix it, it's still worth your time. And even from an Overwatch perspective, if this is why you're not staying focused in game, then it's worth your time. Okay, I like your positioning. Obviously with the Hanzo, the same thing applies to the Ashe, where you don't want to take this engagement without rail. You take a short off angle, lots of nice pressure. You are angling and not off of the enemy team, but you're angling off of your team, which then means that you are angling off of the enemy team. Because the enemy team will not look at you, they will look at your tank line and your support line, so that then this creates an off angle here. If your team rolls out here, you're going to roll out with them, but then you're going to take a split whenever you can. You don't need to here, though. Let's go. Now, who should you be shooting right now? This goes back to your Ask Spilo question.
Well, so far, probably the Orisa.
Why?
She's the only one close enough for me to hit.
Do you see the squishy up on the high ground?
Yeah, but I'll do like 5 damage to him, I think.
And he's a Hanzo.
Yeah.
Right? So there you go. So here, what's wrong with your positioning? What could you do better?
I'm picking the Hanzo.
And what can you
Shouldn't be
not see
picking
very
the
well?
Hanzo. Anything else?
Right. You can't even see the Orisa right now. So deepen your angle. This is both safer and more valuable, correct?
Yes.
Okay. You could throw your E there if you wanted to. Yep. Good try. Okay. Whoa. Little bit rushed. Little bit rushed. I think if you have that shot back 9 out of 10 times, you hit that one a lot prettier if you're focused. That one as well, a little bit rushed. Now, that one is a little bit more understandable because she was about to duck behind a corner, so you wanted to go for the kill quickly.
Yeah.
If you don't have to rush it, don't rush it. Sometimes you're going to have to because they're about to go behind a wall, so you have to take the shot. Okay, set up your position. Let's go. Hanzo top. Can't be here. Can't be here. You're dead. Very simple, right? Where should you rotate to as quickly as you possibly can? You go, oh crap, the Hanzo's here. Where do you go?
Maybe. I don't even know.
You don't have slide yet, right?
I don't even know like what position I could possibly take that well.
Drop.
Well, then I can see
Then,
nothing.
watch this. Slide. And then from here, if Winston engages, you have an easy angle. You can even deepen your angle to here. But yeah, if the Hanzo and the entire team is stacked up together in one group, then yeah, you might just have to chill for a little bit, right? But you definitely don't want to be out in the open, regardless. And
So
notice, by the
if
way,
I take that position,
here,
then I'm an isolated target for the monkey.
but you're built for that. That's what you want. You should be asking to be dove. That's what Sojourn wants. Monkey dives you here, right? What do?
Slide towards.
You
Right?
slide towards point, and you just build charge off of bubble. And now you have a target to shoot without peeking the Hanzo. And the monkey has used bubble, and the monkey will now get discorded, and the Zarya will now shoot backline, and the monkey looks like an ape. He's an idiot. Right? You've wasted his time. That's what you want. You want people to pressure you. The bad thing is Sojourn is taking an angle and getting, you know, headshot or body shot, and then you're like, oh, I can't slide away from that. That's why you still see Sojourn in the Overwatch League, even though she's not a particularly strong hero. It's because people are still playing dive. So or mobile heroes. So, like case in point, I mean, this fight is clearly lost, you know, so it's over. But just look at what you did right here, right? If you ignore the fact that this fight's just lost, monkey jumps, echo dives. Now they're sitting there looking like idiots, right? There you go. Okay, let's keep going. Now, solve this for me. Where should you try and rotate to? It looks like you're about to do it, but where should you go?
Maybe towards Mega. Maybe,
Yeah,
maybe
you
not,
should.
actually.
Absolutely. Very high risk, but you need to do it. You need to do it. See if try and avoid peeking that Hanzo. Try to get some pressure on that monkey or Moira. If they look to put pressure on you, you slide right back. Allow your team to walk through the choke. Create space. Set up an angle. We wait, we wait. Now you go. Now, what's the problem here? I appreciate the attempt, but what's the problem here?
He's pocketed.
He's pocketed. What else? How good are you in a close range 1v1 versus the Hanzo? Bit of a trick question, right?
I mean, I should be pretty good.
It depends. What do you need to perform?
I should hit my rail.
You should have your rail, right? You don't have your rail, you can't win this 1v1. This hero's kind of dumb. He wins close range 1v1s, he wins long range 1v1s, but he's not particularly amazing at either one. He's kind of 50-50, and he's very dependent on the status of the enemy cooldowns. If this is a Genji with deflect, he dies. If this is a Genji without deflect, the Genji dies. If this is a Junkrat with concussive mine, the Junkrat dies. Or the Junkrat gets the kill. If the Junkrat doesn't have concussive mine, the Junkrat dies. Reaper doesn't have Wraith, Reaper dies. If Reaper does have Wraith, Reaper doesn't die. You kind of see what I'm saying though, right? It depends on the status of who he's 1v1ing at this range about whether the status of their cooldowns. You don't have Rail, you can't win this 1v1. This is a throw.
Is this kind of the same with Ashe?
As in diving A Ashe?
Yes.
Yes,
I feel like...
Yes.
Yeah.
I think Ashe feels a little bit less scary to dive at point blank range though. Just because she doesn't...
I've died more to an Ashe than a Hanzo. It feels like. I don't know why.
It might be. She's still not excellent to dive, and she does have a coach gun to damage you and create distance for herself. But the most important thing is have Rail. So if you were to do this, you would either need Rail, or you would need to be closer to your ult and pop your ult on the crossing. So you'd Rail E right at your feet, right? And blow them up. You see this again in the Overwatch League. That's exactly what you'd be trying to do here. If that's not an option, then you're going to, as your Zarya walks forward here, take the angle here. What does the monkey do if you take the angle here?
Should probably jump me.
He'll probably jump you. So what do?
I could slide probably back towards where I came from.
Back to where you came from, and now your team is walking through the choke for free. You've just taken a tank for yourself, and that's a trade you will take every single time. Now, let's slow this down a little bit. Feels a little rushed. Not bad, but a little rushed. I want you to be as clinical as you possibly can with your Rail. Very relaxed. Even that Rail right there, right? It's a habit that
well, I mean, I was losing it, so...
Oh, that's true, that's true.
That feels much better.
What do you think about this positioning?
I think it's pretty good.
I think so too. Not peeking Hanzo, very aggressive off angle. Now, obviously, if this was Fearless on Winston or Gesture on Winston or somebody like that, you're dead here probably. But they're not. You're good. You're good.
Yeah.
You know, worst case scenario, you shift back to your team, right? Good Winstons will be able to cancel that, but it doesn't make this a bad position. This is a good position. Let's see what we got here. You know what I'm gonna say.
Yes.
Like, it's just not it's not worth it. I think your Rail is too valuable. Unless it's a finishing kill, it's not worth it.
I got some all charge.
Yes, that's true, but that's a drop in the pan. Very, very small thing. Positioning here is good. It's just a shame that you don't have Rail. You get the kill, very good. Good, close. Could have been relaxed a little bit more. Unfortunate. Okay, we have time to look at a little bit more. Do you have another code for me?
Yes, I know.
Okay.
Okay, I have a game where I played, I think, pretty well, and a game where I think I played pretty poorly. Which one do you want to look at?
Doesn't matter, up to you.
Okay, let's look at this one.
Okay.
This is a game, I think they have a Junker Queen, and against like Junker Queen Zarya, I struggle a bit because it's harder to farm Rail off of them.
Okay, we'll take a look.
So I want to know what to do about that.
Okay, we'll take a look. So what are you seeing so far as being issues in the game specifically?
Impatience with Rail.
By far the most important thing. And then continuing to think about the angles that you can take versus the enemy composition. That's a very, very difficult question to answer, and something that you should be consuming yourself with trying to answer. It should be always something that you think about. What's the best position right now? Positioning is...
Yeah, I've been working on that last week.
Good,
I don't
good.
know how well, but I
Good.
have.
I mean, there were lots of good positions that you took that last map, but there were some positions that weren't so good. So you're doing fine. Just keep it up. And then outside of the game, obviously we'll talk about that in a little bit, but that has a direct translation to how you play in game. Because it can mean all the knowledge in the world doesn't matter. Now, you have a challenge, don't you? What do you see? Composition-wise.
Yeah. No fat tank for me to shoot at.
No fat tank to shoot at. What's the problem with taking an angle right here and trying to spam?
I get outspammed by soldier.
You do.
I shoot.
It's not Hanzo, but it's a problem. So what I would do, well, you tell me, what would you do?
Maybe. Well, I end up peeking, like jiggle peek in the corner, farming rail little by little. I think it's not the worst choice.
I think so too. I think that's probably fine. I'm gonna let it play a little bit. What's another advantage of Sojourn as well?
Mobility? Or except for that?
The mobility, right? Let's talk about that mobility. When you push up aggressively with your tank like here, you're not taking an off angle.
Yes.
But could any other hit scan do this comfortably?
Probably not.
No. Because even if you have a soldier, would a soldier die here? No. But what would a soldier do if he got pushed?
Run away, heal.
Right. And what will you do if you get pushed here?
Probably slides.
And what's the difference between the two?
Sliding is faster, more reliable.
Watch this as well. What happens when a soldier runs?
I'm not sure.
You see? What happens when you slide? It's the camera direction, right? When you slide...
I don't get it.
Okay. When you slide, what way can you face? If you were to slide away from the screen, would you still be able to look at the queen? Do you see?
Yeah, I see.
So you could take a lot of the times more aggressive positions than soldier, because when you're under pressure, you're not AFK. You're still damaging people. You're still shooting people. You see that? So there will be times here where you don't want to take, or you can't take an angle with Sojourn. That's totally fine. You look at this right here. This is fine. That E's good too. Love to see it. Build and rail. Love to see it. Good stuff, right? This is an advantage of your hero too. Because if your soldier played like this, or a Cassidy played like this, he'd have to turn tail and run, or he'd die, right? You don't have to do that. You can maintain...
This is one of the times where... No, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
This is one of the times where I can't take an off angle, right?
Yes, because it is too isolated, too easy to poke out, and you get poked out by the people that you're trying to off angle on, right? So this is fine. Now your Cassidy can take an off angle, because what's the difference between you and Cassidy? You're faster, right? So you should be able to take an off angle. Well, kind of. What does your Cassidy get out of this?
Immediate value.
Immediate value, right? You don't. You have to find an angle that you can sit and patiently work at, or take an angle like this when you have what?
Rail.
Rail or ult, right? We've seen that multiple times. You don't have rail, you don't have ult. Take a more conservative angle whenever you can, and then play from there. But that also means your advantage is that you can play more aggressively. So this is all fine. My only problem here is what? You already know.
Miss my rail.
You just throw your rail. That wasn't even fully charged. I will say here as well, this is definitely one of the times where you should maintain DPS pressure, right? So you see this right here. Don't even bother looking at the queen. Do you see that big hunk of red just to the right of your crosshair? That's and you do end up shooting there. That's what you want to be shooting. And ultimately, that's good pressure. That's very good pressure. At this range, your damage isn't too bad. Look at your ult charge, right? You're doing okay.
Not sure what I can do here. Probably just stand here, maybe. I don't
Well,
know if
okay,
I
so
can
this
take
is the funny
bridge.
thing. What's the problem with this off angle?
I can see nobody.
That's it, right? So what's the point of taking the off angle if you can see nobody? So where should you be instead?
With my queen, I guess.
With your queen, or even, remember, we're talking off angles don't even have to be hard flanks. Watch this, ready? Zhup. That's it. Just to make sure that that queen or Kiriko can't hide, or if that soldier peeks, he gets railed, right? That's it. Just a tiny little adjustment. Just shoot people. Just shoot people. Even here, keeping pressure on the Batiste. That's good. There you go. Look at this guy. He's terrified.
Yep.
That's good. Probably didn't need to slide there. I think even if the Sombra shows up on you, you're not really scared of her immediately. You can always just shoot her and then slide out after the hack if you need to. Not too shabby. I mean, you're still, let's put it this way. Your positioning for the most part was okay. Cooldown usage for the most part was okay. It's the rail that continues to be a problem. Nice. Nice. Haha. What did you do? No comment on that rail.
Yeah, I just missed.
That's alright. Can we get cat, please? Thank you. Now, where should you be?
Well, I don't know.
Alright.
Maybe.
Now you see what they've swapped to.
Maybe. Yes. I don't know, maybe like to the right of my queen.
Yes.
In front of her a bit.
Yes.
Like inside maybe.
Yes. Even here, right? We can maybe not the end of the world if you peek Soldier Bapter. There's nothing else really that you can shoot right now, so it's fine. Or avoiding them and shooting queen. But as long as you avoid this Hanzo, we're good to go. But you see, what was the mistake here? And this is something, again, I was doing with the live coaching yesterday. What was the mistake here? When did you make a mistake?
Right now.
Right now. Exactly. It's about investment, right? When there's downtime, you cannot be complacent. You have to think ahead of time. Where do I want to be? I see Hanzo right here. This is all the information that I need. I should already know where I want to position. You don't. You go for a little bit of cheeky poke. You should have died there to the Hanzo. You don't. You use your slide. And then now that the fight has started, you can't fix it, right? It's too late. You can't fix it. That's why it's so important that you get the stuff right. E is good. The angle is good now. Rail is good there. Didn't quite get it, but it was
going
good.
to be painful.
Relax. Right? That's all it is. You just need to relax a little bit. You have decent mechanics, I would say. I don't think your mechanics are a huge weakness for you necessarily. Now, I will say that this is not an easy hero to aim with all the time, but you're fine. Just relax. E there was good intentioned, just poorly aimed. I like the idea of E there. Now, okay, we need to get out of here. This was a very aggressive flank, but I think it was reasonable enough, right?
Yeah.
You were avoiding the Hanzo sightlines. Get out of there. Oh, you're dead. No. Relax. Relax. Whoa. Whoa. Nicely done. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna let the next session know that we're running just a little bit behind. Running a little. Okay. One more fight work for you?
Yes.
Okay.
I have a couple questions as well.
Okay,
later
excellent.
after that.
Sure, that's fine. Drop it. Throw your E if you want to. Oh, your Ana gets destroyed. Throw it. I like the positioning. I think this fight is lost. See, the thing, this is how I know that you're not thinking with your rail. Not just with your mechanics, but just not thinking, period. Do you see it?
Yeah, I'm kind of lost. I don't know what to shoot here.
You don't even know what to shoot here? You're at 38 charge. The Baptiste is in lamp. And you shoot anyway. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
This is the lack of focus that you're missing. Even if you headshot with this, even without lamp, it wouldn't get the kill. You're not at a high enough charge. But not only that, you didn't even aim it.
Well, there's a window there.
And not only that, oh, that's true. That's true. That's actually true. But not only that, the target's in lamp. So you're not going to get the kill.
Yeah, that's true.
So it just shows a lack of focus, a lack of attention. It's not a lack of understanding, I don't think. I think it's the lack of attention or focus, and that's your mission. That's your responsibility. Now, I'm going to say one thing really quick. Sojourn is not a very strong hero right now. She's just not. So you went from a hero, you went to a new hero with a different aiming style, with difficult aiming style, I would say, and who's not very strong right now. You are going to have issues. If I swapped off of Junker Queen and tried to pick up Doomfist as a tank player, I'm going to lose SR, and I'm going to struggle for quite a while. So you combine that with whatever your mental response to that adversity or that frustration, and of course you're going to have issues. Of course you're going to have issues. You're not swapping from Echo to, I don't know, Hanzo.
The problem is that, like, I don't mind, falling down. I only care that it's been 2 months and I haven't got back up even a little bit.
Mm-hmm. But how have those 2 months been spent, I think, is the question for you.
Oh, yeah, we talked about that.
And we did talk about that, right? So, but that's the question for you. It's like you knew that this was going to be a hard path, a very hard path. And
yes.
You have to be able to find out if you're up for that. You didn't go from Echo to Hanzo, This is Echo to Sojourn. And not even a good meta for Sojourn, right? There's not enough dive. If there was more dive...
Well, I mean, nobody plays meta in Diamond.
Well, true. But by meta, I mean that you're not going to be playing versus Winston a lot at your rank, necessarily. So, it's even just the ranked meta, it's not going to be... One of the strengths of Sojourn is that mobility, and that's just not something you're going to be getting a lot out of. Okay, so questions. What do you got?
Yeah, they're more map specific. So, on Route 66... attack in first point.
Yes.
They have let's imagine like any hit scan or a hands-on gas station.
Yes.
And the tank has LOAs in first corner. Where do you even go to do anything?
Great question, and not an easy one to answer. Let me show you really quickly right now. I just stopped stream. I will resume stream. So remember, your advantage is your mobility, and your advantage is close range. So then, if you can find a way, and by the way, if you ever have questions like this that come up, your first solution should be to pull up a custom game and do what I'm doing right here and try to toy out with different ideas.
Are you streaming?
Yeah. So click on the top of our Discord thing, like my face.
That's not it.
Yeah.
I see. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of weird when I restart stream. Yeah. So then your solution is this ugly, but it's an option. Your solution is something along the flank here, but the most likely and probably the best solution is this right here. Okay? And then avoiding the hit scan. They will try to peek you, so you will need to be careful. Putting pressure on that tank, and then going, okay, you wanna play dirty? And you peek with rail. Do you see that?
Okay. Yeah.
If you get pushed, no problem. It's rough, but it's your best option. And then obviously as the map rotates, the map expands, you can start to play underneath here. You can start to do things like this.
Then I get it.
And then you can go bang, and dive up here or whatever. Close sight lines, you abuse your mobility. Abuse your mobility as much as you possibly can. Make sense?
Yeah.
Any other questions?
Okay, same kind of situation. Hit scan high grounds, Ilias Lighthouse. Where could I be? And if we have like the point they are attacking, so they're naturally pushing from the high ground.
I'm gonna get to the other side house. I just know it. Ah, see?
Damn.
Oh no. Wrong input. Okay, so they're on high ground. How do you retake the high ground? Obviously, going high ground yourself is worthless, so that's not going to work. So then... You see me?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, this is what you want. Somewhere along these lines here.
Okay, so just ignore whoever is in high ground.
Ignore it and avoid it. Or you can, if you're on point side, same thing here. You know?
Okay. And do I like peek them for rail, or do I just
you can absolutely
other people completely?
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely you can. You know, and also use your judgment, right? Like if it's a Cassidy, good Cassidy's you got to be a little bit careful of, but you're not going to die if you peek a Cassidy. You know what I'm saying? You're not going to die if you peek a Cassidy.
Yes.
You're not also going to die if you peek a Hanzo. If you do it at the right time and you do it smart, maybe when he's distracted, and maybe you can get a couple of shots in. It's not like, oh, you never, ever, ever peek a hit scan. It's just, you just have to understand that there's a little bit of risk with it. And you have to be smart about it. And to take generally positions that are more aggressive. Like if a Hanzo played here, or a Hanzo played here, it'd be pretty risky, right? But for you, you're not scared at all. You're not scared at all. Abuse that. Make sense?
Yeah.
But it's the same thing as Route 66. Same thing.
Okay,
Any other questions?
So one on Eichenwald second, if my tank, for whatever reason, happens often, decides not to push the high ground, would it be smart for me to go there, like alone? Maybe do something, or no?
It can, but you need to be very late, right? You would need to be very late, and you'd probably want something like ultimate, your ultimate to make it work. So like, when your tank goes high, or doesn't go high, and everyone's just focused on stacking cart, then maybe you're thinking, I maybe go high, but I'm going to go high, like I said, after the fight is already devolved, and don't go there immediately. So for me, it's like, okay, we're pushing cart. I might go here, or I might go like here, right? And be, oh, they're going to push me, you know, oh, they're going to push me. Okay, cart starts to push. You know what I'm saying? Okay, they're still up there. I'm going to wait, I'm going to wait, I'm going to wait, I'm going to wait, I'm going to wait. And then maybe I've got my ultimate, you know, this ends now, blam, blam. Or maybe, and a lot of times you'll also see it this as well. People will drop off of high ground. So then you take it from them, right? I mean, Eichenwald second is one of the most difficult points in the entire game to attack, even at the pro levels. So if you're having a hard time at Eichenwald second, don't feel bad. It feels bad for everybody, not just Sojourn.
Yeah, it's
so
terrible. I don't keep track exactly, but I don't think I won a single game on Eichenwald this season.
Rough. It's rough. It's rough.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions?
No.
Okay. Keep in touch. Remember, the most important thing is how you're responding to this kind of frustration, this sort of adversity. It's rough, but you're going to need to figure it out. And remember, it's worth your time. You don't need to fix it like, you know, get over a cold. It's a struggle. You're going to need to figure it out. And if you're going to want to be a higher